Today I'm resetting Major League Baseball, putting every player into a fantasy draft, including some of the game's all-time greats. There will definitely be some god squads in this universe, but my job is to build the best one and win the World Series in 1 year. This wheel decides the team I'll be taking over. It looks like it will be the San Diego Padres, and they have never won a World Series, so this will be interesting. However, since we're doing a fantasy draft, so much of our success depends on where we're picking as we load in and where are we. I am not seeing us in the first half, which is a terrible sign as we're scrolling down to the bottom, and finally there we are at 24. It might seem like we're off to a bad start, but I'm actually not worried. And the reason for this is there are so many good players on the board for our first selection. As a lifelong Mariners fan, it's so tempting to go for Ken Griffey Jr. as you really can't go wrong, but there is one player on the board I cannot afford to pass on, and that is Pedro Martinez, because look at these stats. He might be the best player in the draft as all of his ratings are in the high 90s, and in this league of legendary hitters, we could really use a 3-time Cy Young winner. That is our first selection, and now fortunately we're picking near the top of the second round, so there are still some great players on the board, including Ken Griffey Jr. That is so tempting, but because we're using San Diego, I feel like it would be a crime to not get Mr. Padre Tony Gwynn. He is one of the best hitters and most underrated players in league history, making 15 consecutive All-Star games, and he spent his whole career in San Diego, so we're gonna try and win him a World Series. After that selection, a ton of good players are off the board, and while there are plenty of legends still available, I'm not allowed to select another one. This could put us at a huge disadvantage, but fortunately, Aaron Judge is still on the board, and that is a no-brainer in round 3. I continued filling out the roster with elite MLB talent, but as I expected, there was a sudden drop-off in talent, so while we managed to draft some really good players, we're definitely at a huge disadvantage in the Super League. At first look, it doesn't look like we did terrible, getting 2 legends along with Aaron Judge, Mookie Betts, and Jose Ramirez, but compared to the Dodgers, who are one of our division rivals, they have 7 legends. That is only one of the super teams we're gonna face in this video, as the Padres begin their mission to win a World Series, and if I fail to take them to the promised land, I have to give away a gift card to a lucky subscriber, but we're off to a fantastic start. Jose Ramirez goes deep on opening day, proving that we can still produce without legends. We are off to the best possible start, which is definitely surprising because we're facing Dontrelle Willis, as we take a 4-0 lead and Pedro Martinez is dealing. He was our first round pick, so my expectations are pretty high, as he might be the best pitcher in the entire league. With Martinez on the mound, we made easy work of Atlanta, so we're a step away from our first series victory as we win the second and third games. That's a huge confidence boost, as Atlanta has 4 99 overall players, so we're off to a much better start than I expected, sweeping the Guardians, starting off the season in first place and showing no signs of slowing down. Yandy Diaz goes deep off of Cool Papa Bell, who I've never heard of, but I can confidently tell you that is the best nickname I've ever heard. San Diego starts the year with an 8-1 record, and that is no surprise, as looking at our lineup, we are loaded at every position except for second base. Don't look at that. In a league with so many all-time greats, Aaron Judge is still the MVP favorite, and I know it's way too early in the season, but just a reminder, we drafted him in the 3rd round. Right now, the one thing I'm worried about is while our lineup looks pretty good, that's also how everybody's lineup looks, as the entire league is full of legends, and on top of that, our roster is being held together by mostly older players who could start regressing at any point and destroy our season. However, for the time being, we are doing alright as we take the lead against the Athletics with another Jose Ramirez home run, and by the way, this is another elite team with Jackie Robinson, Dick Allen, and Big Papi. That home run made all the difference in this victory, as we keep finding ways to win with a 12-3 record. If the season ended right now, Aaron Judge would take home the MVP, while Pedro Martinez would win the Cy Young, as we have gotten off to an insane start with Jose Ramirez and Aaron Judge leading the way on offense, but I'm a little concerned about Freddie Freeman, who's playing lights out as well, but unfortunately is regressing. This is only a 1-year challenge, so I have to win the World Series with this exact team, and fortunately, the rest of our players aren't having any issues. Mookie Betts goes deep, while Pedro Martinez is going for another shutout, which would certainly be impressive against an Astros team with 7 legends, including Chipper Jones and Larry Walker. That is exactly why we made Pedro a first-round pick, and he's near the top of the league in pretty much every category, and the Padres are 22-8 at the start of May. Some of our key players like Freddie Freeman are regressing, but we're still in a great spot, especially because I'm allowing us to make 1 trade in this video. That means we get a chance to upgrade 1 position before the playoffs, so we have to make it count, but right now I'm not exactly sure how I would make this team any better, as we're beating a very good Colorado team 6-3 and add another run. To my surprise, our offense has been the best in baseball, especially in clutch situations, so assuming we make the playoffs, I'm very confident in our ability to score runs, as this Coors Field elevation is insane. A 7-run 10th inning rally gives us another sweep, and I know a kid on his mom's iPad will accuse me of playing on rookie, but as you can see, my settings are the same as always. We have been on fire lately, but then again, most of our players are on hot streaks, so it's not a surprise, and having our rotation led by a Cy Young frontrunner is certainly helping out as well. However, now we're being tested against what might be the best team we've seen yet, as Seattle is no joke with a laundry list of legends that apparently doesn't stop. Even in a full league reset, the Mariners are always good in franchise mode, and they're 1 out away from winning a very close game, and there it is. Definitely remember this team because they have the best record in the American League, so they could be the team we face in the World Series as Freddie Freeman gives us the lead. It seems our offense is finally cooking, especially after an Aaron Judge no-doubter. He is still the MVP favorite for a great reason, as he helps us take one back against a great team. They got the best of us in 3 games, but I'm sure we'll see them again as we sim to the end of the month and are 41-15. We have a very comfortable 10-game division lead, which can likely be credited to our 2 MVP frontrunners, as both Aaron Judge and Jose Ramirez are sitting above 1100 OPS. Judge is still the favorite, but Ramirez entering the race is a great problem for our team to have, especially with Pedro Martinez remaining in the race for the Cy Young. It would take a miracle for us to lose our division, as the Giants are in 2nd place, but it's pretty clear they do not stand a chance. We have been dominating, but now is the time to trade a regressing Chris Sale. After a bit of searching, the best player I can trade him for is 99 overall Don Sutton, and he is an insanely good player, so I will make this move in a second. That is the only trade I can make in this video, but it's very worth it to bring in someone like Don Sutton, as at the All-Star break, the Padres have surged to 65-31. Aaron Judge is still the MVP frontrunner with 35 home runs and 91 RBIs, but while Jose Ramirez has slowed down, he's still having a really good year. Then in the rotation, Pedro Martinez is still doing his thing, putting up ridiculous numbers, as the addition of Don Sutton has truly made us a better team. We have the best record in baseball, and the 2nd place team in our division pretty much has no chance to catch us, as the Dodgers are over 20 games behind us, and we're looking to extend that even further. This has been a close game, but we have taken the lead in extra innings, and now with Tony Gwynn up, we are looking for an insurance run, but will not get it. Now this is actually a little concerning because our bullpen really isn't good, and that honestly has me very concerned for the playoffs as we give up the tying run, which now gives Ken Griffey Jr. the chance to walk it off, and I knew I should have drafted him. This doesn't really matter in the regular season, but it's something to keep an eye on for the playoffs, because our bullpen is certainly not fit to deal with some of the best hitters of all time. Regardless, we win that series and move on, continuing to win, as we are 90-41 at the end of the month, which is still the best record in baseball by a long shot. If I could put money on anyone in the league right now, it would be any team facing the Rockies, but I have a big problem. I live in Washington State, where many forms of online sports trading are not legal, but thankfully I found a solution for that with Kalshi.com. They're today's sponsor and the only place you can trade on MLB in all 50 states, along with other real-world events, whether it's sports, an election, or even the price of Bitcoin. You can trade on pretty much anything, but using baseball as an example, capitalizing on the Rockies' downfall is usually a good way to make some extra cash, because they just fired their manager after only 7 wins. This is one of the worst starts in modern history, so if you want to make a quick buck, you can go against them, as Arizona has an 80% chance to win. Spending $100 could make you the fastest $25 of your life, as they're basically buying trades for 80 cents each, and if you win, they turn into a whole dollar. Kalshi has over 1 million users in all 50 states and have facilitated over $1 billion in trades, and they're your best option for MLB. Put your money where your mouth is and sign up using the link in my description. The first 500 traders that trade 100 contracts will receive a $10 credit. However, the Mariners are the next best team, and earlier in the year, they won a series against us, so we're looking for revenge. Tony Gwynn gave us a 2-run lead, but they strike right back, and that makes a lot of sense because their offense is completely cracked with Prince Fielder, Hank Aaron, young Andrew McCutchen, and Honus Wagner. I have absolutely no desire to face the Avengers in the World Series, but at the very least, we also have some absolute dudes, as Jose Ramirez gives us the lead and Byron Buxton gives us back-to-back home runs. Seattle beat us early on in the season, but this time we win the series, and I think this is the perfect time to sim to the playoffs. We are full sending it. The God Squad Padres finished with a 112-win season, and as you would expect for a lineup that looks like this, we we were incredibly good across the board, as Aaron Judge hit 51 bombs with 152 RBIs, and very shortly we will find out if that was good enough to win the American League MVP. This offense was incredibly balanced, with 3 players driving in over 100 runs, and we also had 4 guys hit over 30 dingers. Our bats, and more specifically Judge and Ramirez, were the biggest reason we won so many games, but I also have to give credit to Pedro Martinez, because while Judge might win the MVP, I think Pedro is the better player. The numbers he put up this season were completely ridiculous, and his partner in crime was Don Sutton, who we traded for mid-season and will definitely help us out in the playoffs. No shock here, Pedro Martinez wins the National League Cy Young, but more surprisingly, Don Sutton gets on the podium, placing 3rd. Also, even with so many legends in the league, Shohei Ohtani continues to get glazed, as of course he finally pitches again and wins the American League Cy Young, despite putting up a pretty bad ERA of 4.47. I also realized I misspoke earlier saying that Aaron Judge could win the American League MVP, which is certainly not possible, because even if the Padres were in this league, Frank Thomas the Tank Engine hit 55 nukes. Unlike Ohtani's Mickey Mouse Cy Young Award, that season definitely deserves its flowers, but now for the moment of truth, Aaron Judge came in 3rd place behind some random guy named Babe Ruth. Jokes aside, it is time for the playoffs, where we're taking on the Pirates, who have a ridiculous team. They are absolutely stacked with players like Cal Ripken Jr. and Nolan Ryan, so it's very important that Pedro Martinez shows out, and so far so good. I am so grateful he's on our team, but now the game is tied in the 7th, so this will come down to the wire as Aaron Judge grounds into a double play. Griffin Jax is in the game to close it out, and while the Pirates have Edgar Martinez, he flies out, so we survive a close one, winning the first game of the series. Pedro does his job, but now it's Don Sutton versus Nolan Ryan, as Aaron Judge has bases loaded and drives us into center field. It comes up short. That is so unfortunate, as we nearly took control of the game, and as a result, we are still tied up in the 7th. At the very least, both starting pitchers are now out of the game, so this will come down to the bullpens, but despite getting Aaron Judge on second base, they failed to score him, and Eric Davis goes deep. We have had every chance to score, but keep wasting it, so now we need a 9th inning miracle as Brendan Donovan makes great contact. I cannot believe it. Deep into right center field, that is gone. We needed a hero, and of all people, it is Brendan Donovan, so we are still alive, looking for the walk-off. Christian Yelich, it drifts just outside. He was less than a foot away from ending the game, but now on a second chance opportunity, he will not waste this one, keeping it far inside the foul pole and walking off game 2 of the NLDS. It does not get much better than that, as we defeat Nolan Ryan and now just need one more victory to move on, and there it is. Our next opponent are the Philadelphia Phillies, and while they have Willie Mays, Paul Skeens, and David Justice, I feel like they're actually worse than the Pirates, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. The first game of this series is another close one, as we're leading by 1, but in these camo victories, we clutched up and got the victory. That was another close one, and now Pedro's on the mound for game number 2, which we win. After their first 2 starters, this rotation really falls off a cliff, so this could be our chance to do some damage as the bases are loaded. Here is a big opportunity for Byron Buxton, who sends this into left center field, and while it's not far enough, it does score another run. That was just short of a grand salami, but now it's 3-0, and we're in great shape as Don Sutton is still shutting them out. We go up 6-0. That was enough of a cushion to ice the game, so now the Phillies are facing a sweep, and we get it. The Padres are moving on to the World Series, where sure enough, they're facing Seattle, and as a Mariners fan, I feel like they're good in every franchise I do, but especially this one. If our offense does not lock in, we are going to lose the World Series, but that's a good start, as Tony Gwynn makes it a tie game in the 5th inning. Now it's time for Pedro to cook, but he gives up a home run, so we're in danger of losing the first game of the series, and of course that's a double play. For some reason, this offense cannot score, and game 2 has to be better, but we get off to the worst possible start. They just hit 2 home runs, but thankfully Aaron Judge evens it out, so once again, this is an instant classic against Seattle as we score the go-ahead run. It feels like we're finally getting momentum, as here is a sac fly, and ever since that first inning, Sutton has settled down, and you've gotta be kidding me. Our 99 overall pitchers might lose us this challenge, but right on cue, Mookie Betts goes deep for the first time in the playoffs. You might have noticed that I changed my PCI, and so far it is really paying off, as we triple with Tony Gwynn and score him from 3rd. That gives us a very comfortable lead, and now J-Ram extends it with a bases clearing double, as we dominate Seattle and tie the World Series. That might have been all we needed, as we are leading 5-0, and our offense is back at just the right time. We have taken a 2-1 series lead and make that 3-1, as we have a chance to win it all, and we are off to an incredible start with 2 home runs. That is the best possible start, especially with Pedro Martinez on the mound, as he's putting on an absolute clinic, and there's a nuke from Mookie Betts. It is too late for a comeback, as there is another Padres home run, so after an MLB reset with all-time great players, they are World Series champs. Drop a like if you enjoyed this one, and in the meantime, click right here to watch more.